Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After being threatened with a ridiculously large cut, the system is actually getting an investment. That's great. It should be what's in our amendment, but it's not. But what's really incredible and frankly absurd is that my Republican colleagues think they should be meddling in how our public universities are run. It's one thing to have opinions, it's another to try to write those into law without expertise, without consultation, and without regard for the consequences. This legislature has no business proposing, much less voting on, higher ed policy at this level of detail. That this legislature thinks we should be voting on how many courses a faculty member should teach in a year is outrageous. I'd love to ask them how they know what the right number is. Is it from personal experience or a close analysis of the facts? Do they know what goes into being a faculty member aside from credits taught and course load? Do they know how those vary by discipline? Do they know how much time is spent doing advising, mentoring, research, curriculum development, community engagement, prospective student recruitment, grant writing, administrative work, or fulfilling governance obligations? Because reading the language of this policy, it's painfully obvious that they don't. They don't know what they're talking about. And yet, here we are, voting on it anyway. But what I'd really like to point out here is the hypocrisy. Republicans say they don't want to do policy in the budget. This is policy. They say that government is too bureaucratic and creates too much red tape. This is red tape. They say our universities are bloated with staff and administrators, but are proposing an absurdly complex system that requires annual reporting and massive management. They're creating the very bloat they claim to oppose. Finally, principles of shared governance should guide our decisions when it comes to higher ed, not just because that's what's fair, but because shared governance would allow us to get the best possible outcomes for our colleges and universities. Let the experts, the ones who actually do this work day in and day out, determine how to best run our universities, not a legislature filled with misinformation and resentment toward institutions that power our communities, educate our young people, train our workforce, and fuel our economy.
Your 2 minutes on tabling is over.